Just wanted to add that in for a bit of suspense. Hi guys, welcome, welcome to Real United Talk. My name is Riggs or Dead Rig, whatever you want to call me from last time. I'm joined tonight by Marcus himself and Dear. How are we doing, gentlemen?
Great, mate. Good to be back.
Yep, very well, man. Hope everyone's good.
Yep, I think after the result tonight, I think more people will be happier than not, especially on the red side of Lancashire. Obviously, we played today. Fantastic result. Just wanted to ask you guys, up to yourselves, just one of you got us first. The result today. What's your feelings on it? What did you think?
Well, dear, you can go first.
Yes. Yeah, like I said in the background, United today, I think, was a thrilling game, to be honest. It was a thrilling game with a score as well. We first off, we did very well as with the players. I think some new change from Ralph as well, bringing on Bissaka, which I was quite amazed by this lineup. I think he tried to rotate as well. But in all, United played well. I think it was a very physical game as well, with the fans and all. It was fantastic. The last time there were no fans. The atmosphere was very electric, very, especially with the players, very with the physical battles and all. But first off, we tried to make the most of it to 2-0 down, and then I was a bit afraid, to be honest with you, in the second half when we came level up with them. I was saying it's the same old history, same. But I think we showed maturity, and some of the players showed determination to really battle the game and win it on a very great way. And I think the substitution as well was quite remarkable.
No, I completely agree on that one. Like I said in the pre-show, then I generally thought once we went 2-0 up, I thought, this is going to be a cricket score, this. But I thought we'll come out second half because over the last few weeks we haven't been killing games off. And I thought, we've kind of killed this game off quite early. And then to obviously come out and then to be pulled back to 2-2 within, I think it was 24 seconds, was a bit of a downer. Obviously, Marcus, you said yourself, you thought the, was it Rodrigo goal was a good goal? Would you care to expand upon that?
I just thought it was one of those goals that it's a goal made out of nothing. Now, he looked to shape to cross, right? But the thing is, De Gea was so far off his line that you could say he did shape to shoot, right? Now, because of the weather being absolutely fucking horrendous there today, I just thought it was a good goal, mate. It was totally unexpected. Obviously, the Rodrigo, he's looked in that direction, so you could say it was a fluke. You could say he meant to cross, but only he knows whether he went for goal. But I mean, with De Gea being that far off his line, you could say he did actually go for it. That as a goalie for De Gea, I think you got to be disappointed that you've been beaten like that. Yeah. Especially from that angle as well, and but I mean his position wasn't right in the first place. I mean, even De Gea, you could say, being that far out off his line, he was expecting the cross to come in. But yeah, it reminded me of I think it was the World Cup. Was it Ronaldinho who shaped the cross?
Ronaldinho against Seaman, 2002.
It reminded me of that, and I thought to myself, God, man, Ronaldinho said he meant it. It was very, very similar to that. But I thought it was a great
fucking childhood, that.
But I actually thought it was a really good goal. I did.
Very excellent goal. Yeah, it was excellent.
I think obviously sometimes you're going to get howlers and things like that at De Gea, and I think that's why. I mean, I'm not saying that people are right when they're saying, De Gea's not good enough in the sense, because I think his overall shot stopping qualities are there for us all to see. I don't think there's any question about that. But I think I tweeted out earlier on, he's capable of saving something if it's put into the top right hand corner, but he's also capable of doing something like that. And I don't know. I think it's since I can't remember the World Cup, but he went obviously away with Spain and he made a howler for them for that. And I don't think he's been 100% confident in himself since that. And obviously this season has been magnificent in some games. He literally has got us points and wins when arguably we shouldn't have done, yeah. But that's always my worry with De Gea. I mean, I don't know about you two boys, but I mean, would you bring Henderson back in now, or do you literally just put that down as a complete and utter fluke and no one's to blame?
Do you?
To be honest with you, I don't think so. But we need to bring Henderson back, because for me, David Derry, he's saved us a couple of times. Not a couple of times, quite many times, mate. He really helped us in some very difficult moment. But at time, with the matches, sometimes I don't know how we lose it, but this type of probably in the concentration and all in the defenders. Because I remember United when we were playing with defenders where at the time where was Phil Jones, Smalling, and all. He literally saved us a couple of times. And then there's this agenda when you bring a top defender like around like Maguire, just you expect him to deliver, but at the time he still do it. But there's still when you grow in confidence, when Manchester not playing confidence and winning game, then the concentration level tend to be lower. This is what I have seen. But as far as Henderson is concerned, for me, he should have gone on a loan, to be honest with you. I don't think so. If you remove Davies right now and put Henderson, it might affect the momentum. We need to keep going with it, stick to it. That's what I think about it.
I agree with Dia there, man. I don't think there's any reason to bring in Henderson at the minute. I think De Gea's on top form. Whether it was a fluke or winds that took it in there this afternoon, I don't think you drop him just because of that, to be honest.
No, I obviously have to ask the question. Even in my opinion, I think it would be incredibly harsh. But obviously, moving on to other players, I mean, over the last couple of weeks, we've seen an emergence of Sancho finally starting to almost show us why we paid so much and why he was touted so heavily by us. I mean, I thought he's pretty much made that left hand side his own now, which is peculiar because that when we first bought him, I wasn't expecting him to play that position. I was expecting him to do his best work from the right hand side. Obviously, I thought it was going to be, Rashford off the left and Sancho off the right. But obviously now it's almost he's pretty much made that left-hand side his own. I think it's his to lose. I mean, I don't know about you two gentlemen, but I mean, what did you think of Sancho, especially not just today, but against Brighton earlier on in the week as well?
Go on, dear, you can go first.
Yeah, I think for me,
you won't be pushed tonight, you will.
Yeah, but to be honest, yes, I think we are being able to see now the potential now, which is why we bought him from Dortmund, especially Ralph Rangnick also. Professor Ralph Rangnick also says that now you can see how he's establishing himself with some stability. He's really taking that left-hand spot, like I said. But he provided even 2 assists today. He was excellent. He tried to dominate with the opponent. I think he can only improve. To be honest, he can only be improved, and he can be his own critics. I think he can do it, because at Brighton I saw certain, to be honest, with you, time where he did not pass the ball, where he could try to pass it even with Ronaldo. When you have such a great striker, great finisher, maybe he's still young as well, but for me, he's doing very well at United, and he can only improve and grow into his game. And when you have his pedigree with his teammate, with his player in the front attacking line, So I think if you get also the left back, if he can get that combination where that trust and to go forward and be more confident, I think he will do very well for United, and he can be player of the season as well, because probably David De Gea has his spot so far, but for me, I can clearly see that Jadon Sancho, he is on top level. He will do well for United.
Now, another player who I thought almost went well. I think maybe I might be being critical of him on this one, but I think should have maybe done better and grabbed himself a goal today would be Ronaldo. I mean, obviously there's a lot of space whenever you're playing against Leeds. I felt like the opportunities were there. I feel like he should have done better with, especially that pretty much tapping that he should have had. I mean, Marcus, I don't know what you thought about it. What did you think of overall Ronaldo's overall game today?
Today, I actually thought he was pretty lackluster. I think it seemed like a completely different player compared to the last game. It really did. You'd have thought after breaking his goal duct that he would have been showing for the ball today. He would have been trying to make space and drag the defenders out for the runners from midfield to go through. He did that in the first half a couple of times, but I thought second half he was really quiet, really quiet. Again, whether that's because he doesn't like the weather, even though he knows what the weather's like over here. But yeah, I just thought he's a bit of a mixed bag today for me, to be honest. I would have thought he would have got himself a goal. The one that he missed, the sitter, I'd put that down just being a good save, mate. Goalie in the right place at the right time, to be honest. Quite unlucky with it, but yeah, I mean, yeah, it's sort of like a mix change, like two halves of him. He was good in the first half, pulling the defenders out. There were plenty of runners going through, plenty of shots from outside the box. He did his job in the first half, but second half he just seemed to fade.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that one, because I thought to myself, especially after seeing the first half, I thought he's getting the odd little chance here, especially George Carl puts it perfectly. Should have finished the Pogba brilliance. I felt like after that, I thought we're 2-0 up. Chances are there's going to be more space in the second half. He's definitely going to grab himself a goal, and he's going to be up for it. And I just don't think he came out of second half with that same determination and desire. I mean, be that down to his age, or be that down to the fact that literally at the minute he literally is our only striker that's fit, because obviously Cavani was too ill to be in the starting lineup, but healthy enough to go and watch boxing at the AO Arena or whatever it is. But I mean, also another positive for today. What did you guys think of Ranić's substitution? Because gotta admit, hold my hand up. When he made them, yeah, I was screaming. I was saying, "What the hell?" I could understand the Elanga one. I couldn't understand the Fred one. But obviously, 2 goals from 2 substitutes. You can't really get much more fairer than that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, go on, Dave.
I go first. I think me as well. I was the same as you, as Dedrick. I could not understand the substitution when Pogba went off, and Lingard as well. But yeah, I can understand the point of Elangas. It was what might be good, but Pogba, to be honest with you, because I got to be honest. Since Pogba came, I think United the team looked better, looked more fluid. But I can understand it's about rotation, but you're playing against Leeds, especially in this kind of substitution. But he tried to make it. For me, it was a mastermind, which he did very well. I think he's growing as well in confidence as well, because at the last minute I saw the passion when the match went off from everyone's going. But I still did not see Ronaldo. But that's okay. That we'll try to discuss that later on. But for me, the substitution worked very well, faster. So with Fred and excellent against Sancho doing an excellent assist as well. But for me, I can understand now where is the confidence maybe in the players where he put them on just to deliver and try to get the right result. So it was a perfect substitution. Though I did not like when Pogba was off, but I can see United now. It's gonna be improving because there was a certain in the team there was something which was not working well because every player was frustrated with Donny van der Beek, Marshall. Now there's a group of players maybe Rangnick wants to trust, and even on the bench you can trust this player and make an impact, make a difference, especially in the Premier League when you're playing a tactical match and a bitter rival, fierce competition against Leeds. So I think it's a perfect. It went well today. Yeah.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that one. I think it would have been very easy for our players to almost not rise to the occasion because obviously if you're not from Lancashire or Yorkshire, you won't really understand the rivalry that much. For many people, they might just think, oh, who are Leeds? Because they have been in the football wilderness for the last 16, 17 years, but obviously it is a really, really bit of rivalry that stems back many, many years, and it would have been very easy for our players to have almost got lost in that and almost overpowered by the Leeds players because they will have known what it was. This game is a huge game for them. Whereas the likes of Bruno and Varane, or well, obviously Varane didn't play, sorry, Lindelof might have just thought, oh, Ellen Road. We played here last season, obviously not anticipating how much those Leeds fans would have been up for it. And I think Ralph did managed it absolutely beautifully. I mean, Marcus, obviously you're not a huge fan of Ralph. I mean, what did you think overall? How he did?
Tactical decisions. I think he got spot on. To be honest, I mean, you got to give him credit for that. He knew when to make the changes, and if you bring on Fred, and Fred scores the goal, you've done something right, haven't you? Really, to be honest. Elanga came on and scored. So I think he deserves credit for that. But I can't. First half, I don't know. I just think first half we seem to bypass the midfield, quite a bit. And with the formation as it was, the 4-2-3-1, and Leeds matching us up for it, I thought, Scott McTominay did really well in that first half. He didn't have a partner with him. It was near enough, basically, just him holding the middle of the park. And when he stuck that tackle in and made that lad piss out with blood, I thought, this is going to be a good fucking game. This in the middle. And yeah, I thought McTominay, like I say, first half, I think Ralph's decision to play like that, to put his trust in one natural CDM to dominate a derby game like that, I the top marks for that. I think it paid off. We finished the half 2-0 up, but then second half, same old story, isn't it? United come out relaxing, thinking they're in cruise control, playing like they're 10-0 up, and look what happens. But yeah, I think today overall tactical decisions, you got them right. Yeah.
I think. Go on.
No, I was just going to say the only problem, the only bit of criticism I'd give him was Jesse Lingard, I suppose, being in that starting 11. The guy wants to go. He was stopped in going in January because of what's happened to Mason. I don't see. I didn't see much. I think Lingard did much in that game today at all, to be honest.
I think what I tend to like about Ralph is obviously it might come back to bite us on the arse further down the line, but I feel like he's pretty much identified who he feels like he can actually work with, and I feel like he's almost said to him, right, if you want to play for me, I'll give you a chance, but if you don't, you can go now. And I feel like almost that's what he obviously did with Martial and whatnot. And obviously Lingard was set to go, if not for our board overruling him. I mean, I've got to admit, I don't think Lingard should have played today, but perhaps it's just, to almost have a bit of rotation, get some fresh legs in there.
Exactly.
But it's like you can either go it one or two ways. Obviously, Pogba and Lingard are both out of contract in the summer. And perhaps he thought to himself, Pogba's playing brilliant at the moment, and it's almost putting himself in the short window, because I don't believe for 1 second that Pogba's going to stay. And maybe he thought Jesse Lingard might have the same reaction. Well, if I play well, I might have more suitors come the end of the season. But if anything, I think it almost possibly damaged it. Obviously, you can't judge one player off one game, but I really don't think it. I can't. If anything, I can't think of many chances he even touched the ball.
You know what, Riggs, right, and dear? If Pogba wants to go, right, which I think he does, I think everyone knows that. He's been wanting to go for a couple of seasons, hasn't he? Right? I've been watching Van der Beek for the last 2 games with Everton, right? I know they're not in the same category, in terms of technique and stuff.
Physique.
But I'll tell you what, if he wants to go, I'd let him go. I wouldn't be worried about it at all, because I think the way Van der Beek played for Everton these last 2 games, I think that's a suitable replacement. I don't think he'll get as many goals or assists as Pogba, Van der Beek, when he comes back in, but he looks more than capable of filling that gap. To me, more than capable. And it's a shame he didn't get a steady run of games here at United to show that. But I think for Everton, playing for Everton, I think Van der Beek is punching above his ceiling. I think he's too good to play for Everton, but it's a good move for him to get football, to get regular games on. And I think when he comes back to United, I think he's going to be more than ready to play.
To be fair, I'm kind of looking. I'm really, if anything, I'm looking forward to, because I think, especially with this league at the minute, I'd rather us either. I'm almost kind of bypassing this. I almost want this season to be done with already, so we can get to the summer and do something new. But I think the fact that perhaps I might be reading too much into this, but the fact that we didn't actually sell Van der Beek, we sent him out on loan. I think that is. I think that's a big indicator that we're possibly going to get Ten Hag, because I think that might have almost been a case of, right, well, Ralph saying, I'm not going to use him, but rather than sell him, I'll send him out on loan, so at least he comes back, he gets the minutes, and at least then he can come back to a manager he knows and, respects, because I do feel like he hasn't got his chance. And obviously with Pogba going, that's going to be a huge... I don't think he's going to be Pogba's replacement. I don't think he'll arguably not be able to be good enough. I think that'll be Tielemans, but obviously we'll get into that further down the line. But he'll definitely get given an opportunity if Ten Hag comes in anyway.
Will do.
Yeah, spot on this. I totally agree with you both on this, because Van der Beek really has been excellent. I've been watching him for Everton. He's been excellent. His work rate, he's, like you said, with Paul Pogba. Yes, Paul Pogba is a classy player. He's very physical, but the work rate, the intensity of his work rate, with Van der Beek, is excellent player. I think he will suit Manchester United, especially, like I said, if Ten Hag come. I think we've probably Rangnick will go into the consultant role. I think everything's happening for a reason. Yes, he did not get his opportunity. I'm very sad about that, because it's been miserable to see him every single time on the bench. It was a perfect moment for him to go and unleash to Everton. Though, like Marcus said, he's not that level to play there, because he's much better than that. But I think everything happens for a reason, and I think he will do very well when he comes back to Manchester United in that midfield role, especially. Because it's been a long time since we've not seen the proper midfield at Manchester United. Since the time of Paul Scholes, Michael Carrick, we've not seen proper midfield, like consistently, like the fluidity. We stick to the defense. I think his work rate is fantastic. He will do very well when he comes back. And I have also the feeling for Martial, but he scored as well there. But I don't know if Martial times has been up. But for me, to be honest, with Van der Beek, I think he's a professional guy. He will do very well. Like you said, with Tielemans maybe coming to that midfield trio, we need something. Even Marcus said about Paul Pogba. I totally agree with you, Mark. Pogba is playing very well. He's fantastic. But for me, we can't stop him from leaving now. If he needs to leave, he will definitely leave. But we have to look forward. We have to move and challenge for the league and get back where we belong. Because it is a pass. It's good that he's playing well. Pogba is doing some assists, some very good performance on the pitch. But if he has to go, he has to go. And Van der Beek needs his chance, to be honest. Yeah.
Well, I think I pretty much during the week I counted up players that I think might be leaving, and these are just like the pretty obvious ones that we might know about. So I've obviously got Mata. I think he obviously might be leaving at the end of the season because I think Jesus Christ, he's had 30 minutes. You've got Matic, Jones, Bailly. Obviously, he tried to leave in January. Pogba, Greenwood for obvious reasons, Ronaldo potentially, Cavani, Lingard, possibly Martial, depending on how he does at Sevilla, and Dean Henderson. So that's obviously what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Potentially 11 players out of the door.
But you know what? Them 11 players there, right? Would you really care if they went, to be honest? I mean, you know, what do they do for the first team anyway? You know? I mean, no one should be surprised that Pogba wants to go. It's been written on the walls for the last 3-4 fucking years, right? Yeah, everyone's had
I'd argue he's been in the wall since the day he signed.
Yeah, right. Everyone's had plenty of time to get used to the idea, right, that he's going. Right, it's as simple as that. He wants to go. He would have gone 2-3 seasons ago if COVID hasn't came round and people, you know, clubs had the money and all this Super League shit with the money going up and down. You know, he would have gone then. So, would it really be a major problem if he went? No, I don't think so. Injuries, I think, are quite common now for him around November, December time when it comes to the January transfer window. You know, a 37-year-old striker, I don't care what his name is, right? But would you really want Manchester United to be relying on next season a 38-year-old striker? No, not for me, right? I wouldn't want a 34, 35-year-old backup striker on the bench in Cavani. So no, that wouldn't bother me at all. Would it bother you if Martial went? No, not for me. He's not Manchester United quality. He's not a Ballon d'Or winner. You know, he's nothing. He's shit. You know, Mata, what does he do for the first team? Nothing. Matic, no. Jones, no. Bailly, no. You know, these players, they might have the name, but in all fairness, when you look at the bigger picture, what do they do? What do they bring to Manchester United except a medical bill? Nothing. Nothing really. The only one, I must say, the only one there could be a debate about for me would be Henderson, because I do see that guy as an England goalkeeper, number one. When he gets a run of games, I think he's great, and I think he deserves to be number one at a club. But he's also probably, I would say, probably one of the best backup goalies in the Premier League, I would think.
Oh, totally agree. I think he should be. It should be at least a number one at a different club. I wouldn't be opposed to sending him out on another 2-year loan, but it's whether he'll accept that. He might literally think, right, I want to cut my ties now.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the manager who comes in the summer, I think he's got a lot to sort out in-house in terms of players going out. Yeah, players going out, players coming in. But I think the one main problem they're going to have is the goalkeeper situation, because they've got way too many goalkeepers in there. I think they've got 4 or 5 goalkeepers there, right?
Yeah.
But you only want De Gea and Henderson. I can understand third choice being, late 30s. I can understand that because they're never going to play anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But Henderson, I think, is a big problem for United. A big problem in terms of if they let him go, you can see him flourishing at another club. He did really well. Was it, who did he go out and loan, keep him in the Premier League? Sheffield.
United.
Sheffield.
So, I mean, that season there, I mean,
he got him promoted and then he kept him in the league.
He fucking carried that team, mate. He was absolutely on fire. So yeah, I think that's a tricky one.
It's like when people say, who's better, Ramsdale for Arsenal or obviously Henderson. We've only got to look at it. Ramsdale's gone down with Sheffield United, whereas Henderson managed to keep him up, and also he's gone down with Bournemouth. So it's pretty much a no-brainer with that one. But I mean, like we said, I think there is too much work to be done, and if we were a big club, which is exactly what I said last week, we should already know that. I would hope that our board should already know who the next manager in, and we should already be saying to them, look, obviously you're coming in the summer. What players do you want? What players do you not want? So we can at least start working towards getting them in. I feel like what we're going to do, and correct me, and I'm probably not going to be wrong on this one. I hope I am going to be wrong. I think we're going to appoint Pochettino or Ten Hag, and then it'll be a case of, all right, what players do you want? And they'll be like, well, hang on a minute, fucking such and such body's already moved. Chelsea have already signed him. City have already signed him. They signed him before the window even started, and I think that's maybe what we need to do. We need to be talking to the manager who's going to be taking over and saying what players do you want so we can start building it towards it now.
If Pochettino comes in, mate, I think he'll go for Kane. I really do.
Yeah,
I think United need him. What he did at City yesterday, I think that guy showed his work yesterday, mate. What he did.
Scoring a brace, mate.
I don't know, because you've got to think that's pretty much one game he's turned up for this season. He's been pretty much lackluster since.
Yeah, but you look at him as a complete forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and long term, I think if you pay the money for him, and he wants to go, that's no secret. He wants to go.
World's best kept secret.
Well, yeah. But I think if Pochettino comes in, I think the number one signing will be Harry Kane, because you look at Manchester United, what they've got forward wise, and as I said earlier, you're going to have a 38-year-old, a 35-year-old. Nah, Manchester United don't do that. I've never known United to rely on a guy that old, even as a backup.
When Zlatan came in, it was pretty much you had Zlatan, but then you had the likes of, Rashford, Martial, Lingard. You had younger players around him, whereas we've got two players who are about to fucking kiss 40 on the mouth, as Stephen Howson would say. But I mean, I don't know whether you guys would be opposed to this, but if it was down to me, which obviously it's never going to be, I would pretty much wouldn't go for a big star this year. I would go for people who are, a couple of years away from being stars. I would rather see us, because I think at this stage we're about 4 or 5 years off a title anyway, if ever. I would rather see us by more up and comers, the people that we don't really know of or just on the periphery of knowing, and watch us slowly, gradually build towards that. Because, like I said, 11 players potentially leaving in the summer. I think arguably we need 2 strikers. I think we need 2 midfield. Arguably we need maybe 3 midfielders. We obviously need a winger to obviously replace Greenwood. You're then going to need to bring in another centre back. So this is why I'd rather see us next season play with a few players who, we if you said to us now, oh, United are after this guy, we'd be like, who the fuck's that? I'd rather see that rather than us just go, 100 million on Kane, 100 million on Rice, because obviously this board over the last few years have proved it. They're not willing to spend.
I
Jadon
think you're
Sancho,
right
we
with
saw
that.
it.
I think you're right with that. I think you'll see. I think you're only probably going to see about a maximum of 4 come in, and I think they'll be like under the radar signings, like a Dan James, or like a Bailly, wasn't well known as a defender. Dan James wasn't well known, up and coming. You'll get 4 signings like that coming, and I think if it's Pochettino that comes in, they'll know that Pochettino will bring up from the academy all the reserves into that team.
This is where I disagree with you on that one, because I think Poch, he would need a big name or two, whereas I think Ralph or Ten Hag, he wouldn't.
He wouldn't, yeah.
I think, when you got, obviously Woodward's out of the picture, but I think with Arnold, I think Manchester United try and do that every season, don't they? They try and bring in a marquee signing, at least one. Whether it's on a free or whether they've actually paid for him, they do try to bring in at least one. But I think if it's Pochettino that comes in, I do think the marquee signing, all the hype, all the news will be about him going for Harry Kane. And I think, like I said to you last time, Jamie, I think he'll probably bring in a couple of players from PSG who are probably on a free. It wouldn't surprise me if Herrera came back to save money, because they know that'll be a crowd pleaser. People love them at United, so it's a win-win as far as the Glazers are concerned. And I think you'll see a couple of signings like under the radar, not big names.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like we were talking about Pochettino now. I mean, there's a big possibility if somehow PSG win the Champions League, so obviously they're going into the second leg of the Real Madrid tie, 1-0 up. If they can somehow go through it and win, you either then get PSG saying, well, we don't want to let him go, he's a Champions League winner, or apparently Real Madrid are going to be knocking on the door for him. So there is a good possibility that if what's meant to be believed that Pochettino is United's first choice, he actually isn't actually going to be available to us, because I know who I'd rather fucking go and manage anyway. What do you think, dear?
Yeah, I think with Pochettino especially, there's a couple of years now, he's been really close to Manchester United, and when you see, but to me, to be honest, Pochettino, I don't want him to be at Old Trafford, because he will be signing some marquee, like Marcus just said, marquee signing, and then we'll go again with the same strategy to go with the same strategy every time. We need a manager, like you said, who comes, also what kind of players you need to suit the system to play. We can't go always as business as usual, as just we sign a marquee signing and then you have some deadwood players like also play like Joe's, like Bailly, and then bring please someone who will, like, even with Cristiano Ronaldo, it's that case, because he's been brought for the shares, for everything, not for the. Yes, I can say he's a legend of the club, but at times when he come now, he can't play every single match. He needs. It's a reality for me, but with Pochettino, I don't want him to be at Old Trafford because of his issue. To be honest, because I would prefer to have Ten Hag who will bring players who will like for each position to not to bring top players like, and then it's United get stuck to it again. So for me, I don't think Pochettino is the right guy for United, because he's been in England, yes, but for me, Ten Hag, we need some new consultancy role, something which will change football of Manchester United. This is what we need. We need some new, like you see what Ten Hag has been doing at Ajax with his team, new style to play football in the Champions League, not to be boring, not to be like you play some 15-minute game, you play and then you stop playing. We don't want this mentality. We need players who's gonna play, and a manager who will trust his players, like Rangnick is doing so far, so good. If it goes like this, it's perfect. And another manager coming to sort it out, it will be excellent.
Yeah, I
No,
agree.
I
I do agree with Dieter there to a point. I think you need someone in there, right, who takes no fucking nonsense whatsoever, right?
No
I
bullshit.
think these players, right, in that dressing room, they've got too much power in there now, right? And you need a strong character in there who goes in there and says, look, I don't care what your name is. This is my way. This is how we're doing it. If you don't like it, there's the fucking door. Out you go, right? Manchester United have had big names over the years, and they let them go, and they still won titles and competitions without them. And I think you're at a point now with this club where there are quite a few egos in there now, quite a few players on big money that are not pulling their weight. And it's the manager that comes in he's got to have big enough balls to say, right, Pogba, if they're in the Champions League, we're in the Champions League, are you staying or are you going? Get a decision within 48 hours. Don't fuck about. You're either out the door or you're here. This is my way of how we're going to do it, and that's it. And I think that is where Ten Hag comes in, because he strikes me as a guy that people, as young as he is, they respect him. They respect his ideas, his fresh approach to the game. But then I lean towards Pochettino because Pochettino knows the league. He knows the players. He knows what it takes. I think if you get Ten Hag in, you've got to give him time and you've got to have patience. I think there will be bumps in the road. There will be losses. But you've got to give him time, at least 2-3 seasons, to get that side, the young side that he likes, like he's got at Ajax and stuff. Exactly. He needs the young players in, the energy, the freshness, the hunger, the desire. You need all them things back. Whereas at Manchester United now, I don't think these players are hungry enough, mate. I think it's all money these days. It's just the money in the cars now.
Exactly.
No, I totally agree. And I think I think what I do personally is I think we pretty much need to just almost like when you're building a house and you've made the foundations wrong, you need to pull the full thing down and start again. And that's what I'd like to see. Obviously, it means that we might have a few, like you said, weird results and bad results in the pipeline. But I'd much rather us, start again from scratch, bin off whoever doesn't want to be here, and start afresh. Because I think we have got some good foundations to build upon. You look at the people like your Varans, like your Bruno, even though we don't talk about Bruno. You've got that. You've got Sancho. You've got another good couple of players that you can obviously build a team around. But I was listening to somebody the other day. It was Stephen Howson. He was saying, somebody asked him who the captain should be at Man United, and I didn't honestly think about it until he actually brought it up. And he said, in the 2008 team, if Ferdinand wasn't the captain, it could easily go to Vidic, and you wouldn't say anything. It could also go to Evra, and nobody would moan. It could go to Van der Sar, and everyone would be happy, pretty much. It could go to Gary Neville. I think he was at the time, but I think he was injured. Everyone would be happy. It would also go to Carrick, Scholes, or Ronaldo, or Rooney. Yeah, and nobody would bat an eyelid. Nobody would say, they shouldn't be captain. And every single one of those players would have done a fine job as a captain. Now say the same about the current Man United team. If I said to you, McTominay is going to be the captain, would you? I wouldn't want that. But I think the only people, Maguire arguably shouldn't be our captain at the moment. Luke Shaw, the hell no. Right back, Wan-Bissaka or Delors, definitely not. I think Sancho, too young.
Yeah. I think you bring a very good point there. Sorry to interrupt you on this one, because at United, at a time when you're listing all these players, at that time, these players, everyone has a standout. Everyone knows about the club. Everyone knows about the value of the team. There was everything aside, ego aside, in the dressing room. I think everyone was passionate So
And
it
it's
doesn't
about
matter
having
who.
leaders on the pitch, isn't it? It's about sometimes you can be a captain while actually having the captain's armband.
Totally, totally, mate. Yeah, because this is a way. Now you will have there is a, and you think before realizing it, to be honest, because at that time United there will not be any problem. Van der Sar will be the captain because they all know what they want at the end of the day. You know, they want to win trophies, they want to be part of this thing. They put all these egos aside. Now if you have some player like Luke Shaw, like anyone, there will be a lot of criticism, a lot of debate around it. So at that time, it was not like that. And United, it was never like that.
I think I think you're spot on, mate. That team, there's no leaders in that team. There's no voices. You know, back in the day, that when Sir Alex was managing, Roy Keane was Sir Alex on the pitch. That was it. People knew what Keano said. That was it. End of fucking story. You don't argue with him. You know, if you're told something, you do it. As simple as that. And I think today, football is just too soft now. There aren't leaders in that team. There are voices, but they're not loud voices. You know, I think if you take the captaincy off Maguire, I can see one definite being a captain. And I think that's Bruno. Just by his body language on the pitch, how he asserts himself on the pitch, how he talks on the pitch. And I think as a sleep, people don't really take him into account as being a captain, but I do think Scott McTominay could do it. I really do. I think I see that seeing him for the last couple of seasons rise since Mourinho's brought him in, and he's gone from strength to strength every season. He's not the prettiest of footballers, but being a CDM, it's not about being pretty. It's about getting the job done, getting stuck in, right? And I could see him maybe in a few years, in a couple of seasons, maybe being a vice captain and see how he goes from there. It's a big responsibility to me, being a captain at United, and you've got to be a player that's worthy of being a captain.
I mean, I could see it with the way our football club is run, but I don't think he would deserve it. And I mean, he could prove me wrong further down the line, but I think ultimately McTominay will be a Darren Fletcher. I think he'll be a squad player. I think if you could improve upon him today, you could find 10, 20 improvements upon him. Whereas you look at other positions on the pitch, like the likes of Bruno, you can say, well, there's only like 5 or 6 players that are possibly better than him. Whereas I think there's quite a lot of players that could come in and improve on that position straight away. So therefore, I don't think. But I think he could be. I'm trying to word this correctly. I think he could be like a really positive influence and almost be like that in and around the dressing room, like the likes of Fletcher and stuff like that was. But obviously, they were never really, at that good enough to be like a standout captain.
No, I think. Yeah, like I said, I think being a United captain, it's a huge responsibility. I don't see Maguire as captain next season. He's too quiet. He's got too much baggage with him. He wasn't that good of a captain when he was captain at Leicester.
Well, I think I was listening to somebody the other day, and they said Harry Maguire has been a captain of the club 3 times in his career. Once was for Leicester in a Europa League match, and the other 2 times were for Hull.
Yeah, he doesn't strike me. I mean, Akil says there, McTominay, no, he's a squad player. He's not a squad player at the minute, is he? But
you are right.
He's the first teamer, mate. He's probably one of the first names on the team sheet for the last 2 seasons at the minute. Mm-hmm. But until they buy a replacement for him, if they buy a replacement for him, which I don't think they will, because the Glazers will put the money elsewhere, it's a bit trial and error, isn't it? I mean, some people take to it, some players take to it. You know, you could be the most quietest player in that team, and all of a sudden, when you put that armband on, you've got a voice. It gives you responsibility. It gives you the courage to speak and to say things and stuff. You know, so seeing as McTominay's United through and through, and he come through the academy and shit, why not? You know, give it.
Well, I think what you've just said there has kind of led me perfectly onto my next point before we do wrap it up. So I said to you two guys during the week, if I had to give you 150 million, who would you spend it on and why? So, dear, I want to start off for you. If United had 150 million to spend, who would you buy?
Before he answers that, I'm just going to get another coffee, all right, because I'm empty. All right, hang on. Back in a sec.
It's 8 o'clock at night. What are you doing?
Sorry.
Go on, dear.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, I think 150 million. Yes, for me to be when I analyze United, to be honest with you, when the squad which we need, like just Marcus just said, we won't be able to capitalize on Ronaldo, no Cavani, because we need a striker, proper striker. And I don't think we can get Haaland because on this budget we are so low. For me, the ideal striker to be part of United will be Harry Kane, to be honest. Harry Kane, because he knows the league. I think for long term, despite, yes, he's injury prone, but for me, 100 million on him, Harry Kane. And I would have gone for Declan Rice, but I know it will be difficult to get him. On this budget, there's only 50 million now. So we will be getting him. So I think
you're not saying pay 50 million now, 50 million next summer. We're not paying for him. You're not DFS.
Like the Sancho. But for me, another midfield which can do well because on the Rangnick also at RB Leipzig is Nkunku. For me, he's a player who can play left midfield. He can play right midfield. He can play also the attacking midfield. So it suits United for me because even we need Paul Pogba might not be at the club. We have Donny van der Beek. We have Bruno. This is why I said we need a trio. So I don't think we need CDM because if I go for Declan Rice, if you see Rice play now, he plays only on the attacking position. He's not more on the CDM role. He's more on the attacking or midfield position. So for me, these two players United can bring to, because we do have, as far as centre back is concerned, we have Lindelof, we have Varane, we have even in the defense in right back position, we have Dalot, Wan-Bissaka, and all these players can still pull something if we get a manager like Ten Hag, young players to do it. So these are essential role part which is definitely a striker in terms of Harry Kane, 100 million, and midfield 50 million, and Nkunku.
I mean, I agree with certain aspects of it. I mean, Nkunku. So you're saying you wouldn't go for a CDM?
Yeah, I want to go for a CDM, mate, because we have Varane. We have why a CDM?
Yes, I just think it depends upon the formation because I think nowadays you almost have to play with a 10. I mean, not a 10, a CDM, and I think what we've got at the club in that position, I just think we've been lacking it for 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah,
I think that's what sets us apart from some of the top teams. Whereas you look at the likes of, Chelsea, you've got Kante, Liverpool, you've got Fabinho. City's is, I think it's Rodri now, but it used to be Fernandinho. Then you've got to look at Real Madrid. You've got Casemiro. Then you look at Barcelona. Obviously, Barcelona going through some shit at me. You've got Luke de Jong. Is it Luke de Jong? And I can't ever remember. But all the best teams pretty much play with that player. So I think that's why I'd go for him. But go on, Marcus, who would you have?
If 150 million, yeah?
150 million, because I think that's what we tend to spend over the last few years. I'm not talking net either, so don't be going, oh, well, I'll sell this player for 50 million and buy this player. Just
It's
imagine it is
150
in
million
your...
trade.
Yeah.
I would. I agree with Dieter. I think if Harry Kane's available, you go for Harry Kane, and I think that solves United's strike force for a good 4 seasons. I think you're guaranteed at least 20 goals a season with that, no matter what. I wouldn't pay more than 100 million for him, purely because I don't think it would ever happen, but I would test Leeds' resolve and go for Calvin Phillips. I don't think Declan Rice is worth what Moyes is talking about. I think you could probably, I mean, it would be a tough one. I don't see it happening because of the rivalry and Calvin's parents being as strict as they are. They wouldn't want him going to United. But I would test the water with Calvin Phillips, and I think a backup for a CDM, I think Frank Kessie, if you get him free agent, in the season, can't do any harm, can it? It can't be any worse than what's there at the minute. But I think, yeah, for United, so it's a tough one, because I think a lot of it depends on Champions League football. I think if United's in the Champions League, there's a possibility Ronaldo staying. Then as a business, that's more shirt sales, for the name and everything like that. If they're not in the Champions League, you've got to think, right, they'll need a centre forward, because 2 of them are going to go, and you don't know what's happening with Martial. So, do they go for Kane and spend the majority of the budget on him, or do they go elsewhere and try and get someone half the price as an unknown, and hopefully it comes off? So I think Champions League wise, go for Harry Kane, and I would test Leeds with Calvin Phillips. But I mean, I think Kyle said that we need like five or 6 players, and yeah, I think we do. I think we do need at least that. But it's going to be an interesting summer, no matter what, man.
Right, so I've got my ones, and I did manage to get 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 5 players. So I'd pick up Kessie, obviously on free from AC Milan. I'd also pick up Kamara, who can also play. I think he could play centre back, but he can also play CDM, and I think he could learn from Kessie, because I don't want to see 2 CDMs. I think we could play 1, but it also gives you the ability to rotate and whatnot. I think you should bring in Tielemans for 50 million, because he's obviously got a year left on his contract, and I think that's an ideal Pogba replacement. I'd then go to Benfica and pick up Nunes, who I think would probably go for around 50. I'd probably say 40 million, 50 million euros. I think it works out about. I think we should get him. And with the last 60 million, I think we should bring in Anthony from Ajax, who plays off the right, left-footed, very quick, very skillful. I think he would be Greenwood's replacement. And I think that would solve a lot of positions. You get your striker then. You obviously get, you get Pogba's replacement. You get 2 CDMs for free. And, yeah.
What about centre-back?
Centre-back, I think Kamara would also suit. I think that's another reason why you should get Kamara, because he can also play that position. And, I mean, obviously, we've got Lindelof at the moment, Varane, Maguire. I don't see any of them going anytime soon, hopefully not. And you've got the likes of Menga, who's doing really well out on loan, and Tuanzebe to come back.
Yeah, I like Tuanzebe. I think he's worthy to get in that first team.
I think injuries kind of do him over, though.
Yeah, but I mean, again, can he be any worse? He's not any worse than what we got. I mean, fucking Phil Jones is always injured. Yeah,
you've upset there.
Phil Jones is always injured, but he managed to play a game the other week. Bai's always injured, but he comes in periodically. I think whoever comes in the summer, a lot of those players, that you said there, a few of them, I mean, the Ajax dude, I think that's dependent on Ten Hag coming in, because he's probably going to look at the Van der Beek situation and think, well, I don't want to be like that. I think Harry Kane, I think that's dependent on Pochettino coming in. And, God forbid, if it's Ranić still in charge, I think it's going to be a fucking mess. I really do. I think it'll be a mess. I think if they were planning for life with Ranić after the summer, I think they would have done deals in January. I really do. We can all see the problems in defence and midfield, and we can all see the problems that's going to occur up front eventually after this season. So I think if they were going to be with Ranić until after till next season, I think they would have supported him in the summer. For Mason Greenwood, though, I think, do you know what? I think if this thing that's going on with Mason Greenwood, I think if it was that cut and dry, it would have been over and done with by now.
Not necessarily, because you've got to look at the likes of Mendy as well. I don't know whether you've ever seen the pictures or the videos, but that's the same again. It's pretty clear cut. But I think even Adam Johnson, that took a year, even though the proof and the evidence was there, and he obviously still continued to play.
The thing that bothers me.
I mean, not to interrupt you. I mean, obviously, as a father, would you be happy if Greenwood played?
Mate, this is the thing, right? This is the thing. I was talking to a couple of mates the other week, and if you're a parent of that girl, right, no matter who did it, whether they're high profile, a fucking scumbag, or whatever, right, my first instinct would be, if someone done that to my daughter, I'd fucking pummel them, right, no matter who it is, right? Now, that to me sends a red flag, because the parents ain't said shit, right? They don't seem that bothered to me, right? The video of the bloody nose, right, could have been a night out in Manchester 2 years ago, for all we know, right? Could have been anything. She could have got a slap across the face on a piss up 2 months ago, and just put underneath there, oh, look what Mason Greenwood's done, So that to me, that everyone knows how stuff can be edited and stuff like that, right? The chat thing, the voice thing, right? When she turns around and says, no, don't put your dick there, and giggles, right, after saying it, that don't scream rape to me. Right? Now,
I don't know. Right? I think we're touching on a bit of a...
Right, that, if you're accusing someone of that, right, you don't laugh and giggle after saying it, okay? Right? To me, if that's happening to a girl, right, if a girl is having that happen to her, she's kicking, she's screaming, she's crying, she's shouting for help, right? She's not saying, don't put your dick there, Mason. That don't scream rape to me. Not at all, right? And like I said, that video could have been a night out in Manchester 2 weeks ago, 2 years ago, 2 months ago. It could have been anything. So I don't think this is as clear cut as it is, right? And I think there's going to be a big twist in this, and that girl is going to be found out to be a fucking liar, right? And I think it's one of those things where, where these people accuse celebrities of doing stuff, and then they're given money, or it's settled out of court to stop it going to court, and that's it. It's all under the carpet and it's all done with. I think it's going to end up like that, because, like I say, as a father, right, if someone done that to one of my girls, I'd fucking pummel them, right? as a parent, I think that's your natural instinct. Someone touches your family, that's it, right? And I don't see anything from this girl's parents, right? I've not seen any interviews from the newspapers for this girl's parents or Mason's parents, right? All I've seen is Nike turn around and say they're dropping him, and Manchester United saying he's not training or anything until this is over, right? That's it. So yeah, I'm quite open-minded about it. I'm not sticking up for the lad. If he's done it and he's proven he's done it, then yeah, you know, he should be jailed. He should be sentenced. No matter what his name, that is what should happen. That's the law. It makes no odds whether he's a footballer or not. And yeah, it's disgusting. But I don't think people should be hanging him out to dry just yet. See, I'm one of those old school people, mate. Innocent until proven guilty, sort of thing. You know what I mean? But
I just think that the evidence is so damning and so clear cut. I think he's guilty of sin, and obviously anyone that knows me will know. Like, I'm gutted. I was not only for obviously a hit. Well, I'm not gutted for him. I'm gutted because of what happened, but I'm also gutted for the woman because I mean that. Not only will he never be able to he won't ever be able to ever go anywhere. It's not like a normal case where as somebody does something that sinister, they can almost go and hide fucking down the back arse end of fucking Cornwall or something, for example. Whereas this is a high profile person. The world will know what he looks like, and now unfortunately the world will also know what she looks like, and she might not be able to ever, live a normal life and things like that. So it's just a horrible thing, but you're hearing about it more and more in football these days. There's that many things that go on in the shadows that you don't expect. I mean, when that news first broke, my partner the night before, she said to me, because the transfer window was still open, she said to me, Greenwood's handed in a transfer request. I was like, fuck off, no, whatever. And then the morning after, I woke up to a text from my mate saying, Greenwood, what the fuck? And I'm like, this was before I'd done anything, before I've checked Twitter, and I'm like, don't tell me she's fucking clairvoyant or some shit. And then I've obviously jumped onto Twitter and seen it and just been like, oh my fucking God, this is just... And I think the fact that they held him longer than 24 hours, I think it's pretty much done. Otherwise, I think they might have allowed him to still play and things like that. But I just think nah.
I just think, mate, for such a serious crime, right? This isn't like, I'm going to take us down a dark place now, right? This isn't like Adam Johnson, right, where they find fucking pornographic videos in his house and on his phone and shit like that, right? This is a situation where in life, right, a lot of people in the world, whether people want to admit it or not, a lot of people, when they have sex, right, some people are into some pretty sadistic shit, right? Bruises on the legs, right? And I'm going to say they weren't proper bruises either. They're faint. They got a blue touch to them, right? So it shows they're old for a start. Because if it's a new, fresh bruise, it would be purple and black, right? But it's not. Why doesn't anyone ask the question? Well, maybe she's into like a bit of bondage or something like that. Maybe she's into being tied up and stuff. Maybe she's one of those girls that likes to experiment with whips and chains and shit like that, because people in the world do that, right? She might be like that for all we know, for all anyone knows. You can't just turn around, take a photo of your arm, right, with a bruise on it, and say, look, I could do that now, Jamie. I could do that now, right? I could pinch myself, make it bleed, and say, oh, look what Riggers has just did to me.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Which begs the question, how old was that video, right, of that conversation for a start, right? That could have been this was an ex-girlfriend as well, from what I've read, right?
No, I think they just split up. But I don't know. I think the dad came out and said like the day after that the footage had been basically her account had been hacked and this footage should have never have came out. Yada yada. That's where her dad
Right.
came out and said. But
So if that's the case, right? If that's the case, the parents knew. The parent has known, right? Her mum and dad have known, right? So it's been swept under the carpet, right? So you don't know how long ago this was, for a start, right? You don't know what age they were. You don't know if any of them are under the influence of anything, right? You don't know if they're experimenting with anything because they're young kids. And I think you don't turn around and say, just because you've got a fucking bruise on your arm, man, right? Just because you've got a bruise on your arm, you don't turn around and say, oh, Mason raped me, and then giggle after it. That to me is not, that's not that.
Well, I mean, if somehow, which I don't say, I think he's guilty as fuck, and I think he literally does deserve to fucking rot in the prison for that one.
Done it, yeah.
But if somehow he's found innocent, or if somehow pays it off, I mean, I've got to admit, I wouldn't want to see him for United ever again, and I don't think many other teams would. Because I don't think he'd ever be able to have another football career. I mean, you've only got to look at Ched Evans, who was eventually found innocent, but even after he'd been to prison, not every single team he signed for, they boycotted. But, I mean, obviously I don't really want to be going down this group. Before we do wrap it up, thanks for this, Marcus. Atletico Madrid during the week. Confident?
No.
Really?
No, yeah. No, I think Diego Simeone's sides, mate, are a different kettle of fish. They're tough to break down. I know they had they lost, didn't they, during the week? Not last game before. So bottom of the league or something.
They got beat off Levante.
Yeah. I think is the first game, is it away or is it at home?
For us, it's away, yeah. So the last 4 games for Atletico Madrid, they beat Osasuna today. They got beat on Wednesday by Levante. They beat Getafe 4-3, and the week before that, they got spanked 4-2 off Barcelona.
I think Champions League. I think Atletico Madrid are a totally different side. I think they're much tougher than what they are in the league. Their mentality is different. Simeone, I think he's a great manager, especially considering Atletico Madrid. You know, they're a feeder club, aren't they, in Spain? They sell all their best players, don't they? So yeah, I fancy a really tough game against this, and I do think we'll lose, but I think it's only going to be 1-0. It'll only be by the odd goal.
I'd take a score off. Actually, no, because I don't think the away goal rule's in anymore, is it?
No, it's not, is it? No. No.
I'd take an away goal. I'd take a score draw.
I think we'll lose. I can't see us scoring because our forwards are not in form. Like I say, we've only got Ronaldo as the only fit one. And if he's going to play Jesse Lingard in that game, then God help us. But no, I fancy us getting beat. I really do. It could, I suppose anything could happen, but it could even end up being like a boring 0-0 because I think Rangnick will set United up to go out there defensive, not to concede. But I think Atletico Madrid at this moment in time, they're scoring goals, and after today, United's forwards are they really? So I fancy Madrid to win by the odd goal.
See, I'm quite confident. I like I said, I was going to say I'd take a score draw, but obviously I think if we come out of there with a draw, I'd be happy. But I mean, I was going to ask you on this one, dear, before we do. What time will it be for you, that match? Because it's going to be about 8 o'clock for us.
Yeah, there's 4 hours difference, so I'm ahead. 4 hours ahead. Yeah.
Well,
so it'd be mid. So it's 17 minutes past 12 for you now.
Yeah, exactly. 4 hours ahead.
So
He's all right.
by the time that finishes for you, it'll be like what, 2 o'clock?
In the morning. Yeah,
I
exactly.
hope you've got Thursday booked off work. Right.
Probably will
Anyway,
be. I will get in the chat definitely. I will try to tune in.
no worries.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, guys, I'm going to
Hopefully.
wrap it up there. Hopefully, we'll be live next Sunday. I'd like to thank Dia, Marcus. You can see, what's your Twitter, Marcus?
Well, to be honest, mate, I don't even know. I don't even use it really.
Fucking hell, that's a good plug,
Mate,
isn't it?
Man, Mark.
but in all honesty, right? In all honesty, I've been for the last 2-3 weeks. I've had such bad anxiety levels. I've sort of kept away from it, and this weekend has been quite tough for me, mentally and physically. So yeah, I tend to stay away from all that shit, mate. To be honest, I think I only I unfollowed a shitload of people because I'm sick and tired of hearing about old shit that's happened like 5-6 years ago. You know, I blocked a load of people, and then I thought, right, I'm going to unblock them now because I've got away from that. My head's, I'm back in my own space. So yeah, I don't really use it. I look up the news, Sky Sports racing, my horse racing, fucking Xbox and PlayStation, that's all about it. I hardly ever tweet about United. And I'll tell you something else that pisses me off as well. Whenever United tweet out the team sheet, right, and you look at the comments, there's always some twat saying ratio, right? Always.
Oh,
I do not get it at all. Oh, ratio this comment, ratio that comment. And I think, what the fuck is this ratio?
Penaldo and Pessi.
Yeah, Penaldo's play, and they put these like little mini stories like, I looked under my bed and my dad said, don't worry, it's Penaldo or something. And I think, what the fuck is this crap? What am I looking at? What am I reading?
Football Twitter.
Yeah, it's pathetic. It's rubbish. It's garbage.
Disgusting. Yeah.
Well, anyway, so in other words, don't follow Marcus because he won't
No,
talk to
don't
you
follow me.
or anything else like that. Stay away from him. Don't go to his house. Don't touch his Xbox. But you can add Dia at least though. And Dia, are you going to be live at some point in the next couple of days playing FIFA?
Yeah, probably in the week. I'll try to do something. Yes, you can tune in. You can subscribe to my channel and also on the Real United Talk. As per usual, we are back.
Yes, we are. Anyway, guys, like I said, thank you once again. Thank you if you're watching us live. Thank you if you're watching it back. Please, like our stuff. It really does help us out with the whole YouTube algorithm bullshit. But yep, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you, gents, and have a good night. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.